let's just be clear right from the get-go. I am not saying that minimalism is just about tidying up. I'm not saying that Marie Kondo says minimalism is just about tidying up. What I like to do in a couple of videos like this that I've done in recent weeks is suggest arguments around or against minimalism, and then we or I debate them, and obviously everyone can add their thoughts on the process as well in the comments. A few weeks ago I asked the question whether minimalism is dead. I saw that it was quite a trending video, and when a video perhaps is trending, I will sometimes give my angle on that video, my slant, and after I've ruminated on it for a while. And also, let's just add to that point, I will also give credit when I know who originally started that video, because you know, you got to give those small creators or even the large creators a heads up for an idea that is theirs, which I don't think everybody does here on YouTube. That's a whole nother topic altogether, but I like to, if I know the original creator, and if I don't know the original creator, I like to just say this is a trending video, because sometimes it's really hard to get to the bottom of who was the beginning person. Now, Marie Kondo, on the other hand, although she was not perhaps the first ever minimalist in the world, because there is all kinds of opinion about people in the Bible being minimalists, people like, you know, Marcus Aurelius being minimalist, that Stoicism and minimalism kind of walk hand in hand. So likelihood is that if they were a Stoic, they might have also been knowingly or unknowingly a minimalist. But we're talking about Marie Kondo because perhaps in the modern online world, she is perhaps one of the most pinnacle points of what many of us think of when we think of a minimalist, especially people who perhaps are layman's to the subject of minimalism. They'll be like, oh, the spark joy lady. Yes, that's her. You know, what sparks joy? If it sparks joy, keep it. If it doesn't, let it go. Which makes many of us think objectively that minimalism is just about tidying up, because obviously she had the book about tidying up, insinuating that minimalism is only about perhaps tidying up. Now, we're going to post some questions for and against why we think it may or may not be just about tidying up, because even as a YouTube minimalist creator, I've had many people ask me, but what is it really about? You know, it seems to be just about decluttering, getting rid of things and tidying up your home. And like I've suggested in recent videos, but then there becomes a point where it is just not just about that anymore. So let's phrase some questions and let's discuss what is beyond the tidying up, what is about the tidying up, and why. So first of all, I have had many people say to me that minimalism is just about tidying up because it mainly deals with cluttered, busy, hectic homes, and when the person comes in, they are largely a home organiser that comes in, declutters, gets rid of things, and doesn't deal with anything beyond that. But that is because most people do only want the practical elements of having a tidy home. The minimalism isn't extended for everybody beyond that, but they could still call themselves a minimalist, particularly if they are living in a very, very minimal home. But it does go beyond that for many people. They get to this point where it naturally extends beyond the home. When the home is finally decluttered and calm, you almost become addicted to the calm, but in a good way, because you realise you don't want other non-calm, chaotic mayhem going on in the rest of your life. That's exactly what many minimalists are trying to do. Create calmness in every aspect of their life, not just their home, but their interpersonal relationships, their work life, their way of life, how they deal with things, how they deal with problems. And it begins to feel more calmer all round. So no, minimalism is not just about the cluttered homes and decluttering and home organising.
I'm just here in the jungle investigating why people may think the KonMari method is just about decluttering.
Obviously, within the Marie Kondo method of minimalism and decluttering, there is the KonMari method, which is obviously her own 5-step method of decluttering. Now, although they are all areas of how to approach decluttering, it's really just a method within the wider picture of her own minimalist ideals. Even Marie Kondo herself doesn't think that the KonMari method is the be-all and end-all to minimalism, although sometimes I think along the way that could possibly get convoluted in people's minds for them to think that once you've done the 5 steps of the KonMari method, you're there, you've arrived at minimalism, and that's all there is. When, like we've just said before, it goes much further or farther, depending where you're from. So this is perhaps one of the weirdest angles that I've ever filmed from. Whilst discussing whether minimalism is just about tidying up, we have to think about the physical versus non-physical aspects, because if we think it is only physical, then that is where it all ends, at the end of the physical journey of decluttering. But if we don't think it is just about the physical, it then becomes about the non-physical, about the mental aspects of being able to declutter and let go, not care too much about opinion anymore. Sometimes think that I speak like Yoda and I like mix my words up when I'm talking. I don't know if it's, I only do it when I'm filming, guys, honestly. But honestly as well, you know, I'm here on the mindful, psychological couch of thought, and whilst I am psychoanalyzing what my minimalist journey is really about, it has now started to spread like little fingers of sunshine throughout my whole life, and it's a nice place to be at. It begins to spread. It's like an antibody for the rest of your life. And although it may not cure everything, it can cure a lot of problems that life has to offer, especially in terms of stress. Trying to get the exposure to fix itself, but it won't. So you'll have to deal with how very bright this angle is. Now, perhaps if I move down on the floor, it will correct itself. That's a little, is it a little bit better? Very bright behind me, but we will continue. What I actually love most about Marie Kondo's philosophy and whole realm of how she has created this world within minimalism for herself and her own approach to minimalism is the Sparks Joy mantra, because I like it as a metaphor. I think if we all begin to take it too literally, yes, like a lot of people have suggested, it could be problematic, because for a lot of us, if while we were decluttering we asked, you know, does this spark joy, we could begin to say yes about everything, and then we would end up keeping an awful lot. But what I actually like about it as a main focal point rather than a literal term is that asking whether something sparks joy is actually a physical, mental catalyst for sparking what you really want from your future life moving forwards and what you want the whole ethos of your life to be about, not necessarily the particular individual items. You could say that it's actually a catalyst for everything that comes after the decluttering process, and that is what I like about it. So based on what I have just said, you could also say that true minimalism starts at the end of the decluttering process. It's what actually the decluttering process has shed light upon in this spark of joy, in this catalyst of us beginning to change and filter through and cleanse our life. I actually like to go one step further with the metaphor. You could say that the decluttering of the stuff is just fuel to the fire of what minimalism is really about. And when the fuel is gone, as in when you have decluttered all your stuff, minimalism, the true whole point of what minimalism is what keeps us warm in our minimalist lifestyle. When the focus has shifted from the fuel and we are then kept warm by the fire. And it then actually can be an eternal flame without the fuel, as long as we kindle what we have nurtured and grown. Now, this is a little short but sweet video this week, but I'd also like to discuss a few little things, but I didn't want to interject in the process of discussing why people may think minimalism is just about tidying up, but why it's not. But you may have all noticed a couple of different things in the background, such as my projector is no longer on the wall, and that is because I am making some final big changes ahead of doing an updated home tour, which I'm sure many of you have been wanting to see after all the recent declutters. We may even, if it's a popular thing, attempt to do the Matt Diavella video again, which I did before, which was counting all the items, although I do know that that is very triggering for people. So I am actually probably going to run a community poll, or you can even answer in the questions here. In fact, anybody who would like to see a counting all the items, that's including my shared items in the home, please put a box emoji in the comments section. And it might not happen for a couple of weeks, but if that proves to be something that many people want to see, I will do it. But I will be doing just a general home tour ahead of that, because let me take you all to show you. We have taken all the things off of the wall. We have moved the projector because it's going to be sort of fluid furniture only in the home that is changeable, that can be put away. So as you can see, it's actually on a tripod because that projector itself may be going. I may even be getting rid of one of the other mirrors because our blob mirror, our pond-shaped mirror, just will not sell. So I'm perhaps changing around how we do that so the home can be more minimal whilst we wait to go, so that we have less to worry about or get rid of at the end of the time. Because I like to get rid of things sustainably, which is why I start the process early, so that I can be mindful and try to get rid of things sustainably. Try to find it, you know, the stuff homes where people really want it, or where I could sell it if it's a pricier item to get a bit of money back. That's why I do that. And because I've just mentioned the sustainability, I know some of you were probably thinking, well, that's plastic, and it is. I normally do use matches, but the other day the shop was completely out of matches, our local store. We were having a bit of a party and we wanted to light candles, and this was the only option. So I will be refilling that for quite some time because it is refillable. I hope you all enjoyed this short but sweet video. We've got big plans for August, so you could say the next 2 weeks are a little bit of a break for me ahead of perhaps doing quite a few extra videos in August. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. Bye!